Firsties.
Remember that was a big thing on the internet, everybody being the first person to yell first on like FARC or other web pages. I was like, no, that's a badge of honor.
We were kings in those days.
Speaking of that, first, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the American Sci-Fi Classics Track. It is Thursday night, and it is time for yet another of our quarantine panels. We are so excited to be here in our collective basements with you guys. And tonight we're talking about syndicated afternoon cartoons. There were a ton of them when we were of school age, more or less. And there were also a ton of them that I missed because I was trying to get home and I was not driving the bus. So it just went slowly. And I was enraged because I was missing the theme song to G.I. Joe. And that's all I got for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Did you sing the theme song on the bus?
Yes. 100.
Of course he did. Yo, Joe.
It's in my name.
Oh my God.
I was so popular. Well, I mean, of course.
Well, they were yelling your name.
Well,
That's
now I know,
right?
But
guys, I see what you did there, Nathan.
Yeah, nobody picked up what I put down, though.
No.
Knowing is half the battle.
Thank you, Joe.
The other half, mindless violence.
That is correct. So here is.
Hey, Madison.
Hey! We've got a bunch of awesome people in the chat. But what we're going to do now, and by we I mean me, is going to introduce our lovely panel tonight. And starting one internet to my left, Chris. Welcome. Tell us who you are.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Cummins, and I love cartoons, so I'm thrilled to be on this panel.
Two internets away from me, one internet from Chris. And I can already tell you that the math is going to get away from me almost immediately. Kevin.
I am Kevin, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull.
And three internets away from me, Denise.
I'm Denise, and I'm the youngest member on this panel.
Yes.
And we are going to hold that against you.
No.
Wait, how do we know that?
How do we know that?
Yeah.
Let's
whip out some birth certificates here. Let's
birth
go.
certificates. Here we go. Everybody show them. We've all got them.
I mean, mine is in Japanese, so can someone read?
Nice.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Dave Farnell, paging Dave Farnell.
One internet south of Denise, Nathan.
Hi, I'm Nathan Laws. I'm the host of the 42 Cast, and I did nothing but watch cartoons for most of my life.
Indeed. Welcome, Nathan. You are amongst friends. And Jeff.
Hi, I'm Jeff. I'm the host of Super Geeked Up, a geeky improv comedy show. We come back next Wednesday, 11 p.m. Eastern, with our new season. And I am super excited to be in Dragon Con in person again this year. I can't wait for that. And yes, basically all the shows we're going to talk about are my favorite cartoons of all time.
Yeah, agreed. And one internet to the, let's see, east of Jeff, to the south
West.
of me.
West. North, south, east, west.
You got to get on the metric system, Joe.
Hold on. Joe, I'm...
One internet.
I'm always in Joe's basement.
Always in Joe's basement. Yeah. What? But what? Anyway, that's Gary Mitchell, guys.
Yeah. Hi. Yes, I too ran home to watch cartoons every afternoon. You kids today with your Netflix and not having to, that panicked run of, okay, the Star Blazers comes on at 3:30. If nothing happens with traffic, we'll be home at 3:32. If I run fast enough the quarter mile from the bus stop to the house, I'll get there just as the theme song is ending and I won't miss anything.
Can I just say this is a perfect week for us to be doing this panel because today is Thursday. Tomorrow, not only does a G.I. Joe movie open up in the theater, but a new He-Man show is coming on. And
Yep.
the idea of that...
We planned this.
Yeah, we totally planned it
You guys
because,
are really good.
once again, the American Sci-Fi Classics Track leads the way. Come on, guys.
Mhm.
So, but we're going to talk about their 80s precursors. And let's start with Chris. What did you watch when you were a youth in the afternoons after school?
My favorite was here in Philadelphia. They would have Star Blazers, then G.I. Joe, then Transformers, and
Nice.
Heathcliff too. The Heathcliff and Cats, and Company, which I actually really enjoy. I'm Team Heathcliff over Garfield any day of the week. So it was just kind of the perfect thing to run home, like you guys said, and just watch these shows. And then after that, usually the live action sitcom blocks, happened afterwards. And it was just like, it was bliss. It was a period of not doing my homework and just sitting back and vegging out in front of these great cartoons. I was largely a Latchkey kid for a lot of my youth. So it was great to just kind of come home and just do whatever I wanted, which, me being the punk kid that I was, involved sitting in front of the TV and watching cartoons.
So I have to ask Chris, Heathcliff or Ratcliffe?
Oh, tough.
Ratcliffe, I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Ratcliffe is he's like the Garth Knight of the cartoon cat world.
Oh my god.
Well,
I always thought the
Heathcliff
Ratcliffe
was on the
segments were way
street,
better.
man. Heathcliff was out amongst the people, living in the alleys with the real.
I mean, Garfield
was soft. No, I say that as someone who collected the first 20 Garfield collection books as a point of pride at every book fair. So,
Yeah,
You and me both, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I used to read them in the funnies.
Oh, Garfield is.
you remember
Garfield-
newspapers? Remember
I do.
newspapers?
Oh, I do remember newspapers. I worked there, and until
I still read them.
yes, if we had one in our state, I would also probably not read it because. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin.
I was probably the perfect age for the very kind of crappiest based on a toy cartoons.
Mhm.
Like in 1981, when Reagan appointed Mark Fowler to the FCC and they took away all of the restrictions about children's programming being educational and not advertising toys and not being violent. Like, I feel so bad for the kids of the 70s watching whatever it was they watched. The Barbapapas, the Super Friends. The Super Friends are great, but they don't do anything that you want superheroes to do. They don't punch anybody.
Oh, they would punch robots. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't
And
think they even punched robots. But go
Look,
ahead.
no. Y'all don't understand. Super Friends Aquaman is the best Aquaman ever. I will fight you.
True, but that's a Saturday morning thing.
Yeah.
And
So-
we'll talk
It's a
about
whole
that.
other topic.
so, I was there for ground zero of, I loved G.I. Joe. I loved the Transformers. I loved He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I wanted all the figures. I followed the mythology. I kept up with the Marvel comics of these. I think Masters of the Universe was a DC comic, but I kept up with that too. And I feel like the 80s through the 90s, it was like the golden age of this stuff. Even like in college watching Batman the Animated Series and being like, wow, this is
But
amazing.
that's not syndicated. That was Fox.
Yep.
It started out
though?
syndicated and
Nope.
then it went to
Always
Saturday
Fox
mornings.
Kids from the very beginning. It was part of Fox Kids'
It was-
initial
yeah, it
was- Okay.
lineup.
Was it a Saturday morning thing, though?
Now it did go well.
It was
no,
both. It was both Saturday morning
It
and
was
weekday
after
afternoons.
school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was both. I remember watching Batman the Animated Series in the afternoons. So it was both. You got the
Oh.
new episodes Saturday morning, but the old episodes in the afternoon.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Thank
I
you.
still remember when it debuted. On a Sunday night, I think it was. My friends
Mm-hmm.
and I, we all got together to watch this new Batman cartoon that looked really cool, and they're playing it on a Sunday night at like 7 or 8,
Mm-hmm.
and they opened
7
with
o'clock.
Man Bat, and I was like, okay, that's a choice.
Yes.
But I fell in love. I think it counts though because it was in the afternoons.
It totally does. But yeah, I was what Kevin, what you were talking about with the relaxation of the rules for everyone who said, Boo! They don't need to connect actual cartoons to toys. How dare you, sir? Those things are great. Cartoons based on toys are amazing. And the whole thing about the commercialism and it'll make you want to go out and buy things. Well, no, it'll make my parents go out and buy things because I didn't have any money because I was a child. And my parents and my associated relatives, I'm sure like many of yours, they loaded us up, dadgummit. and thank you in advance or in retrospect if I didn't say it. Grandma and Aunt Sheila, and I don't know if everybody has an Aunt Sheila, but anyway.
Oh, Darren
Trickle
has
down
a-
economics to Storm Shadow figures.
Yes. Darren actually has a question that someone might want to pick up. How about you, Jeff?
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Did I miss the explanation of what syndication is? Well, you guys can maybe jump on. Syndication is basically where not any specific network is airing it, like different networks across whatever territory or part of the country you were in would pick up the show and air it. So it could be on totally different networks throughout the country, I guess, right?
Right, yeah. The local stations could basically bid on the episodes. And I mean, it doesn't just happen with animation. It happens with regular TV as well. And when a show is done with its run, a lot of times it'll be put up for syndication. And that's when you'll see like Big Bang Theory on TBS or whatever, because they've bought the rights to show Big Bang Theory reruns, even though they weren't the ones who made the Big Bang Theory.
There used to be shows that were directly syndication from the beginning. Some of my favorite sci-fi shows actually, and I missed that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was why I think it was like 100 episodes was always the sweet spot for a series. If they could hit that 100 mark, they had enough episodes to go into daily syndication.
Mm-hmm.
And what always got me was just the idea that a Saturday morning cartoon would have 10, 11, 12, 13 episodes, and we'd think, boy, that's a lot of episodes. And then He-Man and G.I. Joe, when they went syndicated, 65. And they were delightful. But I believe was now and again, syndication in the late 80s became a gold mine of sci-fi stuff. Like a couple of people have said in the chat, like the Xena, the Herculeses, the Star Trek: The Next Generations, that kind of thing. That's
Xena.
Small Wonder.
Staple.
Small Wonder. Yeah, the classics.
One day we're going to get that Battlestar Galactica Small Wonder crossover I've been wanting.
It's going to happen.
I bet it's on AO3, man.
Oh, yeah. Everything's on AO3.
It's going to happen. It's totally going to happen. But
so I think we're up to Denise.
Hi.
Denise, I'm sorry. I think I was about to go to you like 11 minutes ago, but
Oh no, it's cool. So I'm the early 90s Latchkey kid. I still remember coming in when the street lights were on. I remember Mom was like, "Get the hell out my house." But the funny thing is I lived in Europe for a good chunk of my life. I lived on Ramstein in Germany. And so we had, and not a lot of non-military people will know this, but the American Armed Forces Network, AFN, is how we got, and we still get, a lot of American programming overseas. And AFN was really the only channel that we had back in those days, because we didn't have Netflix or anything else like that. So I personally remember coming home and watching like Sonic the Hedgehog, which was a great show, by the way. Transformers, He-Man. We got a lot of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, And then we got the, what was it? Rainbow Bright. Rainbow Bright was my favorite show growing up. And then in the 90s, in the afternoons, like Batman the Animated Series, like we said previously, Batman the Animated Series was an afternoon show. You would catch the old episodes that had aired and you would watch them in the afternoon. And then every Saturday, I think was the new episodes, Saturday or Sunday. I think it was Saturday. And then, this was about the time that Warner Brothers and what was it? It wasn't Fox. I think it was just Warner Brothers and Cartoon Network and Disney that had their like Saturday morning cartoon stuff.
Yeah.
But that's how the new episodes would come out every Saturday morning. So Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, Sailor Moon. I watched every episode of Sailor Moon, but all of those would come out in the afternoon. So those were my animated shows in the afternoon. So my when I came home, it was Tiny Toons.
Yeah, that whole Disney afternoon was a huge block.
Oh my God, it was huge. And you would sit and you would watch. But the show I never missed, and I watched all the movies, was Sailor Moon. The 90s Sailor Moon. That was my television show. After Rainbow Bright, Sailor Moon. I love that show. I won't watch it now because there's so much nostalgia is wrapped up in it. But Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon here in Birmingham came on like at 5:30, so if a.m. So if we got up early, which we usually had to do to get ready for school, we'd turn on the TV and like, oh, Sailor Moon.
No, it was the greatest show. It's still the greatest show.
And I feel like there's a grand tradition of anime shows being shown in these, time slots. I feel like, Gary mentioned Star Blazers, Battle of the Planets. I love
Battle of the Planets.
Every morning.
It depends on what you had available, because I grew up for my teenage years in South Carolina, where there are only one station each for each network, and they didn't have a UPN or a WB, so it was like, and so they only had very small openings, and so they would put those things if they had any syndicated shows other than the Fox. And before Fox Kids, they did show the Disney afternoons on the Fox station, but then once Fox had its own programming, that was out. And we would get stuff at like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. was like when we got the syndicated stuff.
So Jeff, what did you watch in the?
Wait, did we skip Nathan?
Yeah,
that was Nathan.
That's all he gets.
Yeah,
that was just doing a side comment. I didn't get to
you just said South
stuff.
Carolina had one station.
Sit on it, Nathan. Let's go to
Nathan,
we'll get back to you in 60 or 70 minutes, Nathan. But Jeff.
All right. My all-time favorite cartoon is G.I. Joe. I love that show. Actually, I just started collecting. There's a classified series now.
Yes.
Figures.
Oh my gosh, that's true.
There's Cobra Commander. So I started collecting those again. Anyway, you know what? Looking back as an adult, these stories are really silly, but I still love the characters. I think G.I. Joe succeeds because the characters are so great, particularly the villains. Mm-hmm. And as a kid, there's all these. Each has a different thing they're good at. They have all these different vehicles, right? Like, how can you not love that? And besides that, then I'm sorry, Joe.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
So the other big two for me were Transformers and Masters of the Universe, He-Man. And even though I don't get a lot of support on this, a lot of times, my favorite thing in He-Man was Orko. I love Orko. He was like the funniest.
You're the guy. You're the guy.
Dude, I don't know. Do people really hate Orko or something? Like I don't get it. I love Orko.
Young Jeff was in the focus group when they were making that show.
I wish.
He's the one who was like, Orko.
I think there's a lot of people that like
pretty early that Orko was. I decided that I would like him ironically, and then I ended up liking him unironically.
He's the comic relief.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why Orko does catch a lot of flack, especially from the more serious-minded Masters fans. And I'm like, let me get this straight. You want to take seriously a show where a guy in a fur bikini fights a guy with a skull face while riding a giant green cat. But the Orko is too far.
Never mind how out of proportion his anatomy is. We're just not going to talk about that.
No, we're not talking about that.
And no one can figure out that Prince Adam is He-Man, even though they both have the same body build and page boy haircut.
The tan.
At least Clark Kent wears glasses.
Right.
When they made the Fisto character, do you think there were any conversations in R&D at Mattel, or did it just go over their heads?
I feel
like, and we can and will and should just do a whole He-Man action figure thing. We've got buddies of ours who have done those panels with us, live action and on video. But we could do a deep dive. And okay, I'm going to say this sentence for the first time. We're going to do a deep dive into Fisto. One.
And there's a certain section of the population that just went, yes.
Yes, indeed. But no, I was like Jeff. I was a G.I. Joe, He-Man, Transformers guy. And going back to what Kevin said, there was an anime show called, and I feel like I looked it up recently, but I do not remember the actual name of it, or the name maybe most people knew it as, but it was called Tranzor Z.
Yes.
I remember that show.
Oh, that was Mazinger, right?
Oh,
Yes.
okay. All right, yeah. Because I had the Mazinger action figure years before the Tranzor Z show came on, and I did not know that they were the same thing. But no, and because that was another bajillion episode anime show.
Yeah.
So does anybody, maybe I'm just young and maybe I saw something that wasn't actually a thing. Does anybody remember a television show called Black Sails? It was an animated cartoon or something
You
like
mean
that.
Dark Water?
Dark Water.
Yeah.
Pirates of Dark Water. That was great. Yeah.
That was part of Fox
Fox
Kids' initial lineup, and then it went to ABC when it switched to Saturday morning. So it's a
Yeah.
network show.
Finish it because I remember watching it. I don't.
It was-
think
yeah.
that's all.
It's
It was
available
really
on
good.
DVD, but they never finished it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's an amazing show. Had a great storyline and ends on a cliffhanger. And
And there was because
show.
you're right. When Fox Kids started, they did up a bunch of fantasy and sci-fi cartoons like that. There was Peter Pan and the Pirates,
I remember that.
which I remember skirted the Disney trademark somehow by calling it "and the Pirates." I don't know.
all right, so Nathan.
Thank you.
So wait, are we sticking just with syndicated shows?
Yeah.
Because originally,
Let's
Joe,
do
you
this.
introduced us to syndicated shows of the '80s, so I wasn't sure if I could say '90s, but we're saying the
Yeah, go
'90s
ahead.
Oh,
stuff. and-
look, this is the classic track. It's more of a guideline than a rule.
Because if we're talking about syndicated shows of the '80s, it's Transformers all the way. Because that is you can go back and watch it now, and it's just a really good sci-fi show. You have people like Diane Duane writing for it. You've got several of comic writers like Len Wein and Marv Wolfman writing for it. It's a show that really kind of transcends the normal Saturday afternoon stuff, and they really tried to build a mythology for the series, to make it more than just here's this action thing that's happening every week. And so I mean, Transformers is my number one from that period. But something that nobody's brought up, though, I don't know if people remember, but I'm sure you remember the things that came from it, is the Super Sunday block that had robotics, Bigfoot, Gem, and Inhumanoids in it.
Oh my
Now,
God.
3 of those went to series. They got a full series later. Robotics did not, which Robotics was robbed because it was the best of the 4.
How dare
And
you,
I'm
sir.
still upset. I'm sorry, what, Joe?
How dare you? Inhumanoids was the best one.
Yeah, I'm an
Humanoids was
Inhumanoid
good. It was
guy.
probably second best. I mean, it was
Yeah.
certain.
I
Robotics
still
was
want a
also a hardcore
decomposed figure.
sci-fi show, and I was amazed by what they did for a show aimed at kids at that time, and I'd love to get a hold of it, but it's not available because it didn't go to a show.
Well, it's the internet, so it's got to be out there somewhere.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it is somewhere.
Yeah, and we kind of have to talk about the writing for a minute because, like Jeff said earlier, a lot of these shows you go to watch them now and it's kind of goofy, but especially Transformers, G.I. Joe, somewhat mainly because of the writing team, and I will also say, I was making fun of it, but it's because I love it. Masters of the Universe had J. Michael Straczynski, and one of his first jobs was writing for that show.
He was the
Also, Jason the Wheeled Warriors.
Yes,
He wrote on Real Ghostbusters too, I think.
Yes,
he did.
Yeah.
He did.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so,
he did.
which
And
was
a lot of-
another great syndicated '80s.
Along with the
and-
Edens brothers, who went on to be the head writers for X-Men,
Right.
the
That's
90s
right.
X-Men show.
Yeah,
And
I
I've
really
always
think-
loved, there was a quote I saw by J. Michael Straczynski a few years ago. He was talking about, he saw on Facebook there was an ad for adult underoos for He-Man and other characters that he wrote for in the 80s. He says, I see things like that and sometimes I feel like a war criminal.
Or a genius.
So I'd like to jump in on that one and point out that Batman the animated series
Oh, yes.
writing ever, especially because that's where Harley Quinn came from. She was
Yes.
written specifically for Batman the animated series, and I remember the episode she came in.
Mhm.
And what kills me to this day are those damn couples cosplay of Harley Quinn and Joker. Because if you watch the Batman the animated series, is not bad, but that was some of the best television writing to
Yes.
this day. Now, some of the funniest television writing was on Animaniacs, and if
Oh,
you watch
Oh my gosh.
if
When
you
they
watch
did the
this-
4th season, I
Oh,
was just going to say, they did the 4th season of Batman the Animated Series. When they moved it to WB, they actually did Mad Love, which was the story about
Yes.
how awful the relationship is between Joker and Harley Quinn, to the point where
Right.
he pushes her out a window. She falls on the ground, and as she's bleeding with like broken bones, she's saying, "It was my fault." And it's
Uh-huh.
like,
Yeah.
oh God, like,
And the
yeah, that was
Not
hard
cool.
hitting, yeah.
I really like Animaniacs, but I was amazed that they had a segment called Goodfeathers that was based on
Yes.
Goodfellas, which is a show that no child has seen. No child has seen
Yeah.
Goodfellas.
That was why. Well, although the WB, like the Bugs Bunny
Well-
cartoons, they have a history of making references that no child would have.
Not-
any idea.
No, but the original Warner Brothers theatrical shorts were aimed at adults, though. Like they
Well,
would-
okay, all right, yeah.
Well,
Animaniacs was
But-
aimed at all audiences, though. I do not think it was aimed specifically at children.
it
I
was
had forgotten all about Good Feathers. Come on, guys.
Well, they were
I mean, who doesn't
referencing
wanna
like
see-
old movies from the 40s. Like, again, they weren't thinking
That's
kids
true.
were going to get those references.
Well-
They knew the adults were watching too.
Yeah.
well, okay, look.
Well, and they knew they had a collection of fans of the old school Warner stuff that were the adults that were going to be watching and would pick up those references.
I
Right.
want.
I mean, that was the
those-
whole reason they did the Slappy Squirrel character.
Oh my
I
God,
love
Slappy is the
Slappy Squirrel.
best.
I wanted to be. I want to be in the room when a parent says to their kid, "Well, you like Good Feathers? Well, let me show you the VHS tape of Goodfellas," and then the kids are like, "What?"
Okay, so imagine you are a child watching Animaniacs, and Dot,
Everybody, let's imagine it.
Dot, or what was it? Yakko says, "Search for fingerprints."
Yes.
And Dot holds up prints, and you're a child, and you're like, "Okay, this is great." Fast forward about 20 years, and you go back, you're like, that's because
Oh,
you're
that's
a
good
child. You
My,
don't
one of my favorite jokes on that level was they were making a Batman movie, and they made the reference to the one lady trying to be Catwoman, jumping out at Tim Burton from a litter box, going, "I should be Catwoman!" It's like,
God.
no kid is going to get this.
No.
One appearance by Sean Young on a talk show as Catwoman, and now she's immortalized in Animaniacs. Good stuff.
I mean, I think that's a real great, even throwback to. I know when I was a kid and watching Looney Tunes, I had no idea who like Humphrey Bogart was or any of the celebrity cameos that they had on that. And I still found it funny as a kid, but only then later when I grew up and saw them again, I'm like, oh yeah. And so I love that it has that work on both levels. kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Well-
cartoons have been doing that. Like Rocky and Bullwinkle did that sort of thing too,
Oh,
where it was like
all
they'd
the
put jokes
time.
in that. Yeah, that.
Yeah,
Well,
they
and
knew they were aiming at two different groups.
Yeah, and let's not forget everything we know about opera was given to us by Bugs
Oh,
Bunny.
100%.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Everything we know about opera.
Oh, still one of the best SNL skits ever was when they had Jeremy Irons on and he had a bit of classical music, from cartoons, and it was all these different great classical pieces, and they were all subtitled "The bit where Bugs Bunny goes to the opera," "The bit where Bugs Bunny does the shaving thing." So people would go, "Oh,
Oh.
Oh yeah.
So what about Spirit? Darren.
yes." I'm just surprised no one has brought up Street Sharks yet.
Street Sharks.
Street Sharks was the best.
The Street Sharks was kind of at the tail end of the I think these kids will buy anything era. And sure enough, they were right.
Look, those toys were awesome. Okay.
Oh, yeah. The toys were great. Yeah. But there was that whole wave of those were actually some of my favorites. That were you get Masters of the Universe and it would be a hit and someone would come up with Black Star. Or, we would get Thundercats, so someone else would come up with Silverhawks. Or then we would get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as the hit. And so all of a sudden it was 4 adjectives and an animal was everything.
Biker Mice from Mars.
Samurai Pizza Cats.
Samurai Pizza Cats.
They had the
I love it.
Disney had
because if we love one thing, yes, we will love something else that sounds like it.
What's better than a terrible knockoff of it?
Right.
GoBots.
I like GoBots actually.
Well, I do too. I do too. Here's the thing. But for GoBots, there was no Transformers was already extant. It was already a thing in my memory when GoBots happened. So everyone else already had all their Transformers mythos put together for them, and everyone was already writing Transformers stories. And I'm referring to my nerd friends in school at the time. But nobody was writing GoBots, so I thought I'm gonna get in on the GoBots train, and it didn't work out. It was not.
You had the first GoBots fan fiction?
I think I did. Yeah.
And so, I also liked the GoBots because
I don't mean to brag.
You could afford a GoBot on your allowance.
Oh, the GoBot.
Well, if you looked at the
and
GoBot,
you weren't in danger of breaking it.
The GoBot toys would move in 2 places, and it's it's transformed. Like an actual transformer, it's 10 steps to get it to transform.
Yeah, and it's the Transformer turns into a Lamborghini Countach, and the GoBot turns into a Hyundai Elantra.
All right, Data Cable is calling me out on my Black Star comment. Apparently, Black Star came before He-Man, so I stand corrected.
And Black Star was Saturday morning, I believe. But
I was making a point.
He was attempting to. We'll let it go.
But I really like those obscure ones. I loved Brave Star.
I thought you were going to go there.
Oh my gosh!
Yep. Brave Star and Galaxy Rangers both. There was something about cowboys in space.
Brave Star with his horse robot sidekick that would turn into a humanoid and had a gun called Sarah Jane.
Yep.
How cool is that? Brave Star? What wasn't it? And there was a horse. Was there a talking horse?
Yes,
that's what we were just talking about.
Okay. Well, good. Yes.
Yeah, where I lived, it was that and the Police Academy animated series would play back to back.
There was a Police Academy animated series.
Oh yeah.
Yes, there was.
It's just
was the same characters.
Imagine. Oh yeah. And I think they did have Michael Winslow because
and there was a little cartoon Bobcat Goldthwait too. It was.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Well,
popular action figure line for a while.
This could be a whole other panel, but almost everything that was a hit got some sort of cartoon aimed at the kids, even if it was not exactly a kid property. Rambo, remember the Rambo cartoon?
Rambo,
yeah,
Rambo and the Freedom Force. They were action figures, and they were delightful.
Yeah, there was Chuck Connors and his Karate Commandos.
I wish it was Chuck Connors. That was Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris. Sorry.
The Rifleman and his
Killer Tomatoes.
The Killer Tomatoes.
Yeah, that was an early Fox one.
Yeah.
I was really RoboCop.
RoboCop. Great show. It really is a great show. They do an episode where Boddicker is somehow alive again, and RoboCop basically almost kills him, and Murphy is losing her mind. It's a really fun episode.
No way.
Well written.
How cool is that? And in 2021, this has come up. Maybe I've been beating this to death on a few of our panels, but the fact that we have the YouTubes and all of this stuff is streaming. We can find a lot of this stuff. I watched Cadillacs and Dinosaurs last week on Tubi, and
Tubi's great.
It's really good.
You sparked my memory.
24-hour G.I. Joe channel?
It's on.
Yeah.
If you can go to the G.I. Joe channel on YouTube where they're just constantly cycling through random episodes.
What a great time to be alive.
Right?
But Nathan, I think you were going to say?
Yeah. Joe sparked my memory talking about dinosaurs. Does anyone remember Dino Saucers?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And Dino Riders, was that
Dino Riders? Dino Riders is coming back. They're doing a new line of the toys. But, that was a great toy series because you had a dinosaur and then you put stuff on him and it was a cyber dinosaur. So you could play with him like paleontologically correct or something.
Well, maybe not paleontologically correct. Well, paleontologically correct for the time. Now they have feathers.
Sure.
Oh,
Maybe.
Bucky O'Hare.
Captain Bucky. That man is a captain, Gary. You have to give him the proper respect. Bucky O'Hare is a captain.
Another Larry Hama creation, if I'm not mistaken.
And yeah, we this was one of the coolest things that we have gotten to do on the American Sci-Fi Classics track. We had Larry Hama as a guest one year, and he just talked about G.I. Joe for like an hour, and it was amazing. That dude is, I did want to mention, going back to the writing briefly, and I didn't know this at the time, but a lot of my favorite shows, G.I. Joe, Transformers, were written by my favorite comic book guys, like Marv Wolfman. And I believe Nathan mentioned Len Wein and Steve Gerber, who wrote the craziest ass comics on the planet. He wrote cartoons, and that was tremendous. But what about, let's talk about the Ninja Turtles. We have not brought them up yet.
Yeah, we've just barely mentioned them in passing, but my God, that was a pop culture phenomenon, wasn't it?
That was like a bomb that dropped on top of everything. Like He-Man was doing great, Transformers was doing great, and maybe that led to the Ninja Turtles getting the action figures and the cartoons. But they did the whole thing, and you didn't have to make anybody except the 4 turtles. You could just do those over and over again.
Yeah.
One thing I liked about the Ninja Turtles cartoon was there was a good chance you were going to see the guys you owned on the show. Unlike, say, He-Man, which I will shake my fist at to this day.
Your fisto?
My fisto. I will shake my fisto at He-Man.
Oh my God!
Coming soon to Classic Track After Dark.
Because if you had to own like 4 guys, and then you got your whole collection on He-Man every week. But on shows like like Transformers and G.I. Joe and Ninja Turtles, there was a good chance you were going to see everybody that there was a toy of, and there's Prime right there.
It's as if the main purpose of the show was to sell toys.
Thank you, Kevin. Exactly. How am I going to buy the He-Man toys if I don't see them on the cartoons, people?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised we didn't talk about Voltron, the original Voltron.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Voltron was great, man. I love that show.
Voltron, what I loved is just the variety.
Yes.
Because on just a couple of channels, we're only talking like, as far as afternoon stuff, we're only talking like 2 or 3 channels. And all the shows were mixed on all those channels. Like, Jeff, do you have memories of Voltron?
Oh, yeah. Voltron was one of my favorites. I forgot to mention it, actually. I actually even like the space, 20-something ones. Vehicles, but the Lions, of course, are the best. The
Lions those were my first Voltron. Everybody talks about their first Doctor. My first Voltron was the Lions.
The problem with Voltron and a lot of these syndicated shows, actually, but Voltron, because it was based on an anime, it actually had like a storyline. But since they showed them in random order, you never really got the storyline. It's just be like, shows, we can put these in any order and just show them. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, I think Sailor Moon was one of the first animes they ever did that was actually in order. I think. I'm not sure because, like I said, I don't remember a lot of the animes that you guys are talking about because I was in Europe at the time. But even then, we got AFN, and that's what we watched. I would do the quizzes on the histories of the states. That was super fun, by the way. I mean, when you're a kid, you know, and the AFN commercials are
You got to
terrible.
get your education somewhere.
That's it. That's it. And AFN is the way to do it. Thank you, United States Armed Forces. So we would get that. So I missed out on a lot of these other animes, but I do remember, maybe you guys do, but I don't know. It's so obscure that I can't even find it nowadays. There was a show on the afternoons on Cartoon Network, and it was called Big O. And it was like a cross between Batman and the Iron Giant, and I want to find
I remember that one.
Yeah, it's available on DVD.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to get it.
It's a very well-known anime from when they brought over a lot of animes in the
was
early zeros.
Oh my god, that show was amazing. And you know,
It's a giant robot, man. Come
right? Thank you. And I haven't been able to find it for like 15 years, but I remember it because it was so good.
It's not on YouTube?
I don't think so.
Yeah, animes tend. I mean, it depends if you can still. And that's the thing; it might be out of print as a DVD.
I could not say that.
Okay, oh my
Yeah, I
God.
used to joke that Cartoon Network should do, since they were playing Tenchi and Big O at the same time, they should say, after Tenchi's climax, we have Big O.
And again, the select part of the population goes, yes. Oh my god.
But getting back to talking about selling things, does anyone remember when Nintendo got into the syndication game?
Oh,
Yeah.
And they had the Super Mario Brothers Super Show and the Legend of Zelda. Like, you waited for Fridays because the Super Mario Brothers Super Show was awful, but it was Fridays when you got the Legend of Zelda cartoon
Yeah.
instead of Super
Captain
Mario,
Lou
which is like
Albano
a million
was
times better.
No.
Look,
Yes.
I remember when Pokemon came out. Okay. I still got a Game Boy Color, and I still got, I think, both red and blue Pokemon games.
Right when Pokemon hit was when I decided I was too hip for the afternoon cartoons. That was incorrect. Very incorrect. But Pokemon was my breaking point.
I shall now turn to Cele Jose Raphael.
Yes.
I remember there was a clear dividing line between the Yu-Gi-Oh kids and the Pokemon kids. Clear line. You did not cross that line. You were either one or you were the other. It was strange. It was a strange little thing. And I'm over here playing Magic the Gathering like, hey guys, what's up?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
I
well, I
had
think
an
we got our
ex who
confirmation
desperately-
she is the youngest person on this panel.
Yeah.
I told you.
I had an ex who desperately tried to get me to play Yu-Gi-Oh, and I kept going, "No, I've played Magic. Why am I No, I
Why
cut
are we
my
doing
card
this
addiction.
now?
I'm
No.
done."
What about we was there a divide between nerds at the time, between the fans of He-Man and the fans of G.I. Joe? Because amongst our people, my nerds, they were like, how dare you? G.I. Joe clearly is the superior thing.
Oh, really? Not for me, man. Like,
No,
I love
I-
both the people I didn't know.
Everyone I knew was super into both, and the only problem they had is like, what toy did they want more?
Yeah. Now here's how much now, and again, super into GI Joe. I've still got my old GI Joes, not old, they're classic GI Joe. I've still got them.
Vintage.
But yes, vintage. But there was a continuing Marvel series of GI Joe stuff. Meanwhile, there wasn't anything for He-Man. I had friends of mine who used the Marvel Superheroes role-playing game and did the GI Joes with it. They
that's
adapted
cool.
G.I. Joes to the Marvel Superheroes role-playing game. And because He-Man had no such thing, I tried to make a He-Man role-playing game. And I still have my notes somewhere. And I bet they're not great. But I gave it a shot. And now, 30 years later, I realized I could have just used the DC Heroes game because He-Man's first freaking appearance was in DC Comics Presents, where he beat up Superman. Come on, Joseph. Young Joseph. So,
Yo,
that's the
Joe.
He-Man story.
I will say in He-Man's defense, I have 4-year-old twin boys, and I showed them G.I. Joe, and they weren't so into it, but they were all in on He-Man.
Well, He-Man is it's a great fantasy world with weird tech in it. It's got a lot of different hooks to grab you. It's got the weird science. It's got, the slightly, just scary enough, but not really scary main bad guy.
I mean,
You've got the power fantasy. I have the power.
mm,
You get to do the whole Superman change. You get to swing around a sword. You don't get to hit anybody with it, but you get it.
Orko.
Yep,
Yeah,
Orko.
got Orko, man. Yep. And when Orko hit when they brought out the action figure of Orko, I was first in line.
I had that.
I
It was
was
awesome.
like,
Yeah. Oh, I have been picking up like the Mega Constructs, the little tiny Masters figures, because those are great.
can I just say I'm tickled to death, Gary? Yeah, I love that there are new things coming out for all these old things. Like
Mhm.
Jeff, you just bought the new GI Joe stuff.
Yep, I have those. I spent way too much money on eBay on one of them.
What about?
I got a Baroness and a coil, Jeff.
Oh, the Baron! I can't find the Baroness. Man, I want that one. It's nice.
What? Isn't there aren't they doing the GI Joe cartoon version of Snake Eyes in the blue?
Yes,
I feel
Super
like-
7. Super 7 is doing two different lines. They're doing a reaction line, which is the little 5 points of articulation ones, and they're doing what they call their ultimates, which are always based on like the ultimate version of the character. They've been doing Thundercats. Their Mum-Ra is amazing, and they have a glow-in-the-dark one.
oh my god, no way.
Yeah. I need that glow-in-the-dark Mum-Ra. These things, though, they're like $50, so it's like, I
Wow.
don't have one yet. But they just announced they're going to be doing a G.I. Joe line, and the first four figures are Duke, Roadblock, I think. And then Cobra Commander and a Bat.
Okay, so
Oh,
can
bad.
I ask a question?
Yes.
Does the I have to know these things. Does the sailor? Why does the sailor have a swallow? Like, I know the meaning of. I have my swallows. I was a Navy. I was Navy, so I have my swallow tattoos. But why does the GI? Why does he have a swallow? Why?
Because it looks cool.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah.
Do you mean because
Yeah.
he's not in the Navy?
He had a whole life before he joined up with G.I. Joe, too.
Come on.
He's kind of like the
With
Han
the
Solo
Shipwreck
character in
boy.
Revenge
That's
of
true.
Cobra.
Yeah, and I did not get to say my favorite pick, but I think this gives it away.
God.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. See, because in the Navy you've got your swallows. These are mission accomplished, and 5,000 nautical miles. But I always wondered that about the GI Joe guy. Like, why?
No,
No.
we don't. Like Kevin said, we don't know what he did before he joined GI Joe.
He did 5,000 miles of something.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, he somehow earned a parrot. I think that's what you do in the Navy, right? Don't you earn parrots? Like you get to a certain rank, then you get a parrot. Is that correct?
I mean, when
Yep.
you make the chief, you earn a coffee cup. So.
When
And
do you get the parrot? That's all I really care about.
and tangentially related to G.I. Joe, because Hasbro is desperately trying to make a shared universe, because that's what everybody does now. Nodashio, if I mangled that, I apologize, said Mask.
I wanted to bring that up. I love masks.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
awesome.
Yes, was fun.
And the whole idea of the computer assembling the perfect team for that episode allowed them to have a lot of characters that they could cycle through different combinations of them. And
That was my
thought
favorite
was
part.
really neat.
I was like, oh, I hope they pick one of my favorite people. You know, It's just like-
Uh-huh. But they somehow the kid and his little robot always ended up getting picked somehow, or they were never picked.
They were
would
never
always
picked.
be
They
on
just
board.
tagged along. Yeah.
I love the motorcycle that turned into the helicopter. That was my favorite of the lot.
Oh gosh, that was my favorite too.
Yeah, but they actually made a Matt Tracker figure in the G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, 3 1/4 size.
What?
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he came with a backpack that became a helicopter, so he had a little helicopter pack.
Oh my god, how funny!
Yeah,
It
we
kind of
just
blew my mind in the 80s, like watching there was a Geraldo Rivera ripoff character on Inhumanoids G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Mask. And, because they were all produced by Marvel and Sunbow, it was like, oh, they have... So, like, even as a kid who loved, like, shared universes, even though that was just, like, the tiniest little thing, it was still really cool for me watching those shows.
Man,
I love that stuff.
When Old Snake showed up in that Transformers episode,
Yes.
my mind was blown.
Yes. Yeah.
My favorite part about that was the fact he was wearing Serpentor's gloves, and I was like, I need this story. I need this story.
Yeah, I'd forgotten all about that. At some point in the 2020s, they got to do a G.I. Joe versus Transformers something. I don't care what it is. If it's just me in my backyard with the new toys, I'll do it.
Well, that was kind of the best thing about these being toy commercials was then, I had an entire box full of G.I. Joes and a few He-Man characters and one Transformer too and more GoBots than you could shake a stick at. And I would go out in the backyard and make my own adventures based off what I watched from the cartoon.
And you couldn't do
Mind
that.
you, a lot of them would die horribly because,
oh, of course.
I was an edgy 12-year-old.
Yeah, this whole idea that having toys tied in with cartoons like destroys creativity is like so ridiculous.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I mean, it doesn't affect the quality of the show. There were badly written shows with toy lines, and there were good shows with toy lines, and then the kids could play with them and create their own toys. So it still, enhances creativity.
Yeah, and sometimes the toys were better than the show.
If you have a He-Man doll and you have Barbie uses He-Man to take over the world. Okay, this is how this works. I'm just saying, Barbie is the queen, He-Man is her henchman, and it's a slaughter. But it works.
I wanted to.
Well, she's not doing it with Ken, that's for sure.
Well,
in any way you want to interpret that.
This, I love that people our age now are making things.
Yes.
Yeah.
People that were kiddos in the 80s now are making things like that. Just today, I found a podcast called Garden Talk with Skeletor, where a dude does a Skeletor voice and he gives gardening tips. That's it. It is so good.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Skeletor is the real winner of the He-Man resurgence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Skeletor.
Like Chris, you know a guy. You got a guy. You got a Skeletor guy.
I do have a Skeletor. I'm close personal friends with the Skeletor. His name is Carmen Martello III, and for about 15 years now in Philadelphia, he's been doing a karaoke night, but it's a gong show. If you get up there and you suck, you will be gonked and humiliated on stage. And he does like based songs, and he will cover. He does a version of Belle Biv DeVoe's "Poison," where it's him just saying "poison" and poisoning the audience members. It's
oh my god!
Go see it.
Oh, Lister Mate apparently is also friends with him, Chris. In our company.
That's amazing. Okay.
Can I bring up some shows from the 90s real quick?
Sure.
Yes.
I feel so left out right now.
We haven't even mentioned Gargoyles.
That's what I was about to bring up.
Gargoyles.
It's the best cartoon of all time. Gargoyles.
Indeed.
Gargoyles, not the second season. Not the second season. It got
You
weird.
mean the third season. You mean the third season.
No, I mean
the third season is the Goliath Chronicles. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, the third season. It got super weird. But seasons 1 and 2, yes. Freakazoid. Freakazoid is another show that was great. Freakazoid is amazing.
Lay out some more on us, Nathan.
All right. So the best show that nobody watched because Universal didn't know how to market because animation wasn't something they did is Exo Squad.
Yes.
If you've ever seen Exo Squad, it's writing basically like for adults, but it's a cartoon about fighting a genetically created like a slave force that then rebelled against the humans, and the humans have this armor that they can put on, which basically turns them into like a fighter, like plane, but also can walk and stuff like that. So kind of like a mecha, but not as big as a mecha kind of thing. And it was basically conceived like an anime with a beginning, middle, and end. Unfortunately, they didn't get their final season because, again, Universal didn't know how to market things. And because of that, they were always shown at 5 a.m. in the morning, and they didn't get the ratings that they needed to get that final season. So it's left unfinished, which is really unfortunate. But the head writers were the Edens brothers, who were the head writers on X-Men the animated series also. So I mean, it's that same level of really high quality that you had on the X-Men animated series writing. So it's a really, really great show, and I encourage people to check it out. It's free on Peacock. You do not have to pay anything. So yeah.
So do you remember, Nathan? Do you remember Reboot, the animated series?
I hate CGI with a passion, but I do remember that it existed. I never watched it.
Yeah, Reboot existed. It was one of the first CGI shows out there. And then Beast Wars, the Transformers, Beast Wars was another one, and that was a great show. I keep waiting for them to bring it back, but I don't know if they're going to.
That was another one. I was too cool for Transformers by that point. I was like, no, my Transformers turn into vehicles. Thank you.
Well, I tried watching it, but the CGI turned me off because I was such a big Transformers fan.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't watch
Same
this.
issue. Yeah.
No, and the funny thing is, if you would have kept watching it, because I kept watching it, Beast Wars was great, man. It was some really good TV. For what they were trying to do with it. It was kind of crazy how good that show was. Like I said, I keep waiting for them to bring it back, but I don't know as though they're ever going to.
I feel like there's money. They will.
Well, with all the different iterations of Transformers, I know in this latest one, the War for Cybertron series they're doing on Netflix, they're bringing in the Beast Wars characters with the next iteration.
See. Yeah, I think it starts like next week.
Yeah. It drops next
Beast
week.
Wars was always weird because there was a dividing line in Transformers fandom because there were people who were like my age who were like, Beast Wars, what the hell is this? Why is this CG? Why are they turning into animals? What the hell is going on here? And we tapped out. But there were a lot of younger fans who that was their first Transformers. So Optimus Primal's their guy.
Yeah.
And they're like,
and like I said earlier,
why is Optimus
this is my robot dad. Okay.
What is that?
This is my robot dad. When he died, it broke me.
Well, Optimus Prime is like the distillation of everything that is good and pure in this world. I didn't grow up with comics. I came to comics later, so Optimus Prime was my Captain America.
And Hot Rod is the pretender.
I will never forgive Hot Rod.
Bumblebee is still the greatest.
Never.
Bumblebee is still the greatest thing ever. I'm just saying.
Bumblebee, agreed. Yeah.
Bumblebee.
But we could talk about this for 6 more hours. However, we are going to talk more about these in live action at Dragon Con with most of the people on this panel tonight. We're
some
doing
of these people may be there.
right there. And Kevin, tell us about our Disney afternoon panels that we're doing.
I believe on Friday afternoon, there's a plan to have, 2 panels? There's going to be all about the Disney afternoon. I think they're going to be broken up for the duck ones, your DuckTales, your Darkwing Duck, and then one about Chippendale Rescue Rangers Tailspin. So if you're into that stuff, I would say go to those panels. It's going to be awesome.
Yes.
We had to give the ducks their own hour.
The all duck edition.
And my God, the theme songs on those shows.
Darkwing Duck represent.
Yes.
Look, I still have the DuckTales movie on VHS, okay?
Of course. Okay, all right, here's what we're going to do. Well, everybody tell us where you can be found on the internet and your favorite amongst these theme songs. And then we're going to fight about it after. So, Chris.
You can find me at Sci-Fi Explosion on your social media waste of time of choice, and also some of my writing for denofgeek.com. And sorry folks, but there's no better TV cartoon theme song than DuckTales.
There you go. Okay, strong contender. Kevin.
Gleamingthetube.net is where you can find my skateboard movie podcast. The season finale just dropped, where we talk about Jodie Foster and Scott Baio in 1980s Foxes, terrible film that has way more skateboarding in it than you'd think. And I hate to be a piggybacker, but I'm with Chris. DuckTales is the boppiest of bops for syndicated cartoon theme songs.
Yeah, indeed. Denise.
So I'm Denise, and you can find me and my swallows over on Instagram at Layman's Terms, where I teach history lessons. We're taking a break until August 1st because I had to recoup and regroup, and I'm going to go with the pack and add in that the DuckTales theme song was specifically engineered to be boppy and memorable. It was engineered that way, and that's why we love it so much. Woo!
It's science.
Science. Nathan.
I'm host of the 42 Cast, which is your ultimate answer to fandom, geekiness, and everything, which is where I and a random panel of people will talk about any subject in geek media. And so you can find that on all the social medias is at 42 Cast. And I'm going to go with my research that I've done in just 5 seconds of thinking about it with gummy bears.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Saturday morning, though. I guess they
No,
have
it was the first year of Disney afternoons. Gummy Bears changed to a weekday afternoon show, so it counts.
Was in the afternoons. It was. I remember watching them in the afternoons. Gummy Bears was.
It was the
very
last year of Gummy
Tailspin.
Bears and the first year of the Disney afternoon.
Yeah. Tailspin and Gummy Bears were in the afternoon.
I regret that we didn't mention Visionaries because there's got
Yes.
at some
I love that
point
show.
we're just going to do a whole Visionaries panel at some point. We're doing it.
Oh, good.
Oh, somebody mentioned Count Duckula.
More ducks. Well, we can mention him in the all.
Yeah, he's a duck.
He is a duck and very ducky. So a lot of ducks this year at Dragon Con. We're doing Howard the Duck
Y'all have fun with that.
on our charity lock-in movie this year. But Jeff,
You can find me supergeekedup.com or supergeekedup on YouTube, where I do my Geeky Improv comedy show Wednesday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern. We have a live chat, and I'll be doing it live at Dragon Con as well. And I'm 100% with Nathan. The best animated theme song of all time is the Gummy Bears.
whoa, all right, wrong.
Bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
High adventure, that's beyond compare.
They are the Gummy Bears.
I think they were written by the same person.
I'm pretty sure they were.
I hope so. I hope so.
Disney just has a factory and cartoons just like come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's on the assembly line.
Gary.
You can find me here with him every week.
Yeah.
You can find me at DragonCon with him in the American Sci-Fi Classics Track. You can find me here on the Twitter. You can also find me on this week's episode of Execute Chapter 66, where at Congregate 7, I got to interview Timothy Zahn.
Oh, my favorite writer.
Yes.
Wow.
So you can go and check that out. And it's if you're a fan of Star Wars-based fiction, you should definitely be listening to that podcast. Nathan, Chad, the check is in the mail.
Yeah. And your theme song.
My theme song, I'm going to say, for my favorite theme song is the version of G.I. Joe from the movie, where it starts with that dun dun dun, dun I'm from the Cobra.
Thank you, Chris.
Cobra.
Is the rest of it the same?
But it
it's
starts
like-
off darker.
No.
It's great.
Look,
Oh, I got to listen to that version again.
Oh, it is amazing.
yeah, but here's the
Go
thing.
ahead.
We all know that life is like a hurricane, and
You're
DuckTales
in
is a clear
Duckburg.
champion.
You're in Duckburg. Yeah. I
just need to know what is a duck blur. It sounds
We
dirty.
don't know.
Duck
Nobody
blur. Yeah,
knows.
you go
It's a
fast. You're a
blur.
duck and you go fast. You duck blur. Duck blur.
Those ducks were like the Flash, didn't you know?
Yeah, exactly. Come on.
It's of course my favorite is G.I. Joe because they just say my name over and over again. and
They begin with it, yeah.
they start with it, yeah. And so in school the next day after G.I. Joe, people were yelling the theme music, and I just thought, yeah, I'm cool. And that was true. And the show was good too.
Yeah.
But you guys, thank you very, very much. I will see a lot of you at Dragon Con. A lot of you on the stream right now, we will see at Dragon Con. And if we don't see you at Dragon Con, we will see you back here next week when our topic, Gary, will be what? Because I forgot.
Hold on, please.
Please.
Hold, please. Our topic next week, we're going to be getting jiggy with it because we're celebrating. It's still the Willennium, a
We're 21
celebration
years
of
into
Will
the
Smith.
Millennium. It's happening.
Wow.
It is happening. And guys, thank you very much. So I think Chris, Kevin, and Denise have to sing the DuckTales theme song starting right now.
Life is
Like
like
a hurricane here in Duckburg.
Come on, Chris.
race cars,
Where's lasers,
Airplanes.
airplanes?
It's a blur.
Might solve a mystery.
Or a rewrite history.
DuckTales.
Tail.
Woo!
Every day we're out there making
Tails.
Woo!
Yo, that woo is like the 5 golden rings in the 12 Days of Christmas. It's the one bit everybody knows and wants to jump in on.
Yeah, I'm trying to sing it like Fred Schneider from the B-52s.
Nice.
I think he would do a really good version of the song.
It does.
I would pay good money to hear that. Here in
Everybody's hoping that I end the broadcast before they hit the high note, but I'm not doing it. We're staying till the bitter end. You guys, thank you very, very much for coming and hanging out with us. We will see you very, very soon. We love you guys. Stay safe. Talk to
Bye,
you soon.
everybody.
Bye.
Justice for Inspector Gadget.
Oh, that last minute jab.